The music thumped like a frantic heartbeat, and the air throbbed with the mingled scent of expensive cologne and too much champagne. I, Whitney Jones, stood by the railing, feeling like a lone palm tree swaying in a hurricane. All around me, bodies writhed on the dance floor, faces painted with a desperate cheer that couldn't hide the hollowness in their eyes. It was the usual yacht party scene. Beautiful people pretending to have a good time while their insides were gnawed by insecurity and envy. Just another day in the life of Whitney, the girl men tripped over themselves for. Tall and blonde with curves that could make a bishop blush, I'd always been the center of attention. Used the attention, I should say. From a young age, I knew my looks were a weapon, a golden ticket to a life of luxury. I'd jet-setted across the globe, each new adventure leaving behind a trail of broken hearts and discarded men. Wealthy businessmen, European nobility, even a movie star or two. They all fell at my feet. But something always held me back. They were all too alike, obsessed with the shiny exterior and terrified of the real me. This yacht party was no different. Here I was, the latest model on Carl Peterson's guest list. Carl, the infamous billionaire with a reputation for throwing wild parties and even wilder after parties. I'd seen him on Forbes' list, a wrinkled face staring down from the page. Not my usual type, that's for sure. And then I saw him. He wasn't dancing, wasn't surrounded by the usual gaggle of sycophants. He stood by the railing, a lone figure bathed in the cool moonlight, looking out at the endless black canvas of the sea. He seemed different. An air of quiet solitude clung to him like a well-worn coat. Intrigued, I strolled towards him. He was older, maybe late 60s, with a shock of silver hair and eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 lived stories. Not the kind of man I usually went for, but there was something about him, an aura of calm that drew me in. Quite a party, isn't it? I remarked, unsure what possessed me to strike up a conversation. He turned, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. It is, he said, his voice a warm rumble, though filled with a lot of folks who wouldn't know a real good time if it bit him on the rear end. I laughed, a genuine surprised sound. You can say that again. It's like everyone's trying to prove something. For the next hour, we talked. Not the usual superficial chit-chat, but real conversations about life, dreams, and regrets. He spoke of his travels, of building an empire from scratch, of the bittersweet taste of success. I shared my hunger for adventure, the emptiness that gnawed at me despite all the riches and glamour. He wasn't what I expected. No sleazy come-ons, no brash displays of wealth. He was a good listener, his eyes holding a genuine interest in my words. A warmth I hadn't felt in years bloomed in my chest. As the night wore on, the music thrummed lower, the party slowly dispersing. We were alone on the deck, the city lights of Monaco twinkling in the distance. A sudden, unexpected feeling of vulnerability swept over me. I bit back the urge to retreat, to maintain the cool facade I'd worn for so long. His hand found mine, a gentle touch that sent shivers down my spine. We didn't need words. We both knew what the other wanted. The moonlight cast an ethereal glow on his face as he leaned in, his touch hesitant at first, then deepening with a tenderness that surprised me. His kiss was slow, a sweet exploration of new territory. It wasn't the passionate fire I was used to, but something more profound, simmering beneath the surface, waiting to be unleashed. We moved in a silent dance, his hands tracing the curves of my body with a reverence that sent a delicious heat pooling in my core. We found our way to a secluded corner of the deck, the cool night air a stark contrast to the fire igniting within us. His touch was deliberate, filled with a quiet urgency. My usual bravado faltered, replaced by a vulnerability I hadn't known I possessed. Under the starry expanse, we surrendered to each other. a slow, sensual exploration that was both familiar and utterly new. It wasn't just about the physical release, it was about a connection that transcended the superficial. The night deepened, the rhythm of our lovemaking echoing the soft lapping of the waves. I felt a sense of completeness I'd never known before, a belonging that had eluded. 6 months later, in his beach house in the Caribbean, sunlight streamed through the palm trees, dappling the white sand with golden light. We lay tangled in each other's arms, the rhythmic sound of the waves lulling us back to sleep. Carl, his face etched with contentment, traced lazy circles on my back. At that moment, a truth settled over me, heavy and undeniable. This calmness, this sense of being cherished. This was what I'd been searching for all along. It wasn't the thrill of the chase, the endless string of conquests. It was the quiet intimacy, the feeling of being truly seen. A shadow fell across us, momentarily blocking the sun's warmth. We both stirred, blinking in the sudden brightness. A sleek yacht, all chrome and sleek lines, was idling a few meters from the shore. Confusion clouded my mind as a man stepped onto the deck, his features a perfect echo of Carl's but younger, sharper. Dark hair, sun-kissed skin, and a jawline that could cut diamonds. He was impossibly handsome, a walking advertisement for a cologne commercial. "Dad?" His voice boomed across the water, a question hanging in the air. My world tilted on its axis. It couldn't be. This had to be a cruel joke, a twisted dream. But no. The man stood there, his face a mirror to the one I'd come to love. It was Gerald. Gerald, the only man I'd ever truly loved. The one who had walked away after 3 perfect months, leaving a gaping hole in my heart all those years ago. Panic clawed at my throat. This couldn't be happening. I had fallen in love with the father and the son. The irony was so thick I could choke on it. My gaze darted between the two men, their expressions unreadable. Carl scrambled to his feet, a flicker of pain crossing his face. I followed suit, suddenly self-conscious about my bare skin under the judging eyes of the man who had once held my heart. "Whitney, this is..." Carl started, his voice thick with a mix of emotions I couldn't decipher. "Gerald?" I blurted out, my voice barely a whisper. A slow smile, a smirk, almost, spread across Gerald's face. Well, Whitney," he drawled, his gaze lingering on me a beat too long before flickering back to Carl. "It seems we have some catching up to do." The air crackled with unspoken words, accusation hanging heavy in the suddenly stifling silence. My mind raced, replaying memories of Gerald's sweet promises and his sudden, unexplained disappearance. Now, standing before Carl, the man who had finally made me feel whole, Gerald felt like a ghost from a past I thought I'd buried. Tears pricked at my eyes. How could this be happening? How could life be so cruel? On this idyllic beach, with the love I thought I'd finally found standing beside me, my past had come crashing down, leaving me with a devastating choice.